He just couldn't. And I asked my father this in the 80s, before he passed away. He said, it's still like that. So anyway, let me get to the point. Our point is about, today is a special program. This thing of leaderless resistance. You think through strategic management, under conditions of repression and leaderless resistance, would be the highest level of ascendancy. Well, it's not. It's not at all. As we go back to California, we're going back, like the title said, New Frontier. New Frontier. What is a new frontier? New frontier is that we have evolved. We talked about, oh, you can't do this because the white man is going to do this, and the white man is going to do that. And so we talked as though that was a permanent condition. But it's not a permanent condition. You know why? The system is human beings. And we talk about star tracking and all of that. That means, we was talking a little while ago about rocket ships, you know, stuff. Okay, we was looking at Hidden Figures the other day, you know, with the guy. And they show them doing experiment, especially in rocketry. They do shoot up one, it blows up, they shoot up another. Each time, just like Kim Jong-un, whatever it is. Every time a rocket blow up, it's not a loss. Why? Because he's researching, why did it blow up? So they keep getting bigger and better. That's the way the process of forward motion is, improvement. Al-Islam. You face obstacles, you face challenges, you rise up and you do what? You improve and you get better. So in the past, we have been going one stage, one level after another. When we came here in 1989, the Islamic movement had been squashed. Not only by the government, but the government of Negroes. It was finished. Anybody didn't expect us to do anything. And we were loaded up with tattletales. Whichever crew you tried, the Sunni crew, the Shia crew, everybody was, oh, that's what this figure. We anticipated that. But see, we said we done got all the game in Oakland, all the California game. And now we got to get the whole game. And the center of the movement, it shifted from New York. The center of the movement was not in California, although we had a field day out there. The center was Washington, D.C. Because the thing that had galvanized was the Islamic Revolution in Iran. That was an outside force having an influence on the internal workings of the Islamic movement here in America. It was a culmination of what we had all been studying and looking for. So old Sam jumped right in the middle of that. He was on that 1 hour. He was on it before it even happened. But after it happened, he moved right away to crush both of the existing movements, both of this is our opinion. According to dates and times and what happened around it, you take the Islamic Party and you take the al-Islam movement within 1979, by 1982, it was both washed up. Imam Jamil gave me a tape on the Imam Yahya Abdul Karim's lecture. He gave me the tape to turn me against the movement in Iran. but it solidified what I already knew. That there was people in the dark that liked the revolution in Iran. The government was not putting up with an organized group of people. Although it was saturated through and through with government agents, they decided to pull the string on it, and that's what happened. Okay, we're coming in and active at the same time. So we're studying the movement in detail. By that time, we have a good 20 years of African studies, African liberation movements, internal movements from the USA, the European liberation movement, including Baader Meinhof gang. I don't know if y'all heard of them. The Japanese Red Army. All of those people popular in the late 60s and the 70s. So we all down with everybody. So we came back to America to do a certain job. As we get really rolling and figure out a picture of what we're going to work on, here come the revolution, here come the U.S. to wipe it out. So after several sessions of encirclement and suppression, we decided to come to Washington, D.C. Well, we said we was going to Washington. We was hitting like we was going to the state of Washington. Why? We just wanted to have a week or two here with just to get a look at it ourselves. It worked pretty good. We got a week or so of because when we left the U.S., left California, went up to Canada. We left California with just enough money to get to Canada. Sold $1,800 worth of books. When we got here, we had $1,800 and still a load of books. And from that, we opened a Masjid because people didn't help us raise money. We saved money and we sold books. And then we bought 5021 A Street, remodeled that, and started getting busy. By the time we felt the need to expand, now we're talking about 92, 93, 94, but by 94, we're really talking about it. By 95, technically 96, 95, 96, we said we're going to raise $200,000. Everybody was laughing. They didn't think it was possible. And then we raised it and we bought this masjid. As soon as the people there got smelled that we're going to be successful, that group packed up and left. We came here. That pole right out there, electric pole, that sends stuff from the pole right there, it cost $6,500. And Mr. Anderson was supposed to come here in November of 97 and 98. That's what was scheduled for Pepco. He missed the date and he came March 20th of the next year. So that whole winter, I remember sitting up here talking, and that cold, imagine being in this cold cement building, concrete building. And, hey man, you talking about cold, we was gangsters. The kids was gangsters up there. Man, you had to be tough. Hey man, that cold, you're just like in a refrigerator. But it was just regular harassment. But we established open this morning. Within a year or so, we done bought this property here. Then 2-3 years, we done bought that property there. A little bit later, we done bought that property down there that nobody wanted and remodeled it. And we acquired another piece of property on 8th Street. So we have 8 pieces of property. The people that were here and active when we got here have not done anything at all. Nothing. I mean, really below nothing. They haven't made any contribution to the movement. So that means that goes back to the idea of goals. When we talk about you have to have goals. So we had kind of clear goals. We said if we can last 5 years here, we're going to have the whole game. We're going to have, and that's what happened. They gave us the game between D.C., California, all the universities around, all overseas. We got the universal game. Continue to grow. But now, we're at a state where we have tons of knowledge and information, and we're survivors. It don't look like we're going anywhere because you survived so long, you know. So the stage we're at, decade or more over in the past, we've had tons of experience. And we've had day and night, 24/7 contact with the government. But we've risen to a certain level. And we know what's going on, but the people, they either don't know or they'll pretend like they don't know. The people in California pretend like, I don't know nothing. Mukhtar called me a non-believer. He said, "You've never been to Hajj." I said, "That's correct. It's correct. But it's the front of our passport. You know what this is? It's a Hajj visa for 1988, the year after the Hajj massacre of 1987. And I'm well known by the Saudis. You see how young that is, not a speck. Look at that boy there. I ain't seen no gray hair. Just post-teenage look like. It's a Hajj visa from Saudi Arabia. You know what they did? The same thing Nihad Awad did the other day. He sent me an invitation, and the invitation come, and I got it out, I didn't bring my phone, but I'll show it to you. It's dated September 12th, and he wants me to come to a great program on September the 11th. I lost mine. They used to have changeling, you know, people could change it. Then they have the people that go on these, what's this scientific stuff? You can go into the future, you can go back in the past. Well, I left my machine in California. So I can only go forward, and then I have to kind of know where I'm supposed to go. But I definitely can't go back in time. So this is my Hajj visa. And we were paying, a crew was paying for Hajjs of a whole crew. So I had Abdul Malik on there, and I had another. They did Abdul Malik's the same way, because he was kind of. So we was able to send a couple of brothers to Hajj. Not that they didn't say thank you or nothing, that they don't even speak to you. But it's okay, we did our part. So Mukhtar calls me, I guess he never knew this existed. "You're a non-believer, you don't go to Hajj. You didn't go to Hajj because you don't like the Saudis and you're a non-believer."
Has Mukhtar been to Hajj?
No, of course it's not been out. But you gotta remember, what they say to me doesn't make any difference. The reason I don't listen to them is, remember, I'm a thief, he can say, their goal was to make me mad, to provoke me into fighting. That was what it was. And if I would have followed it, they would have won. That's why we never even considered. Why? Because it was part of a strategy. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategy by reading a few of these. Because what I'm going to finish up with is this, that we're on a new frontier, that we're going past leaderless resistance. We've already passed it. Any obstacle, just like you have experiment with spacecraft, you have experiment with anything. Al-Islah means improvement. So, if we're talking about Star Trek, it means going beyond where no one has ever gone before, right? Well, last week we said we didn't just broke through the barrier of satanic barrier. You would have got enough boost to break away from the gravitational pull of the earth, right? We were just talking about this. But what that means too in movement is, out of all of our history, we have now broken the barrier to the new frontier. Just like in history, they had a sound barrier. But when we were young, had nobody broke the sound barrier yet. Sound barrier, 780 miles, something like that. And we used to have jets that fly over, and you would hear that big boom. That means they didn't pass through the sound barrier. The speed of sound is so many feet per second. 780 feet per second, something like that. But in miles an hour, it's 700, I'm thinking, if I can remember, about 780 miles per hour. Well, you know, it took a long time to get up to that speed. But there was a barrier. You remember the 4-minute mile? People have been running from the time of Marathon. Marathon was in the war, Greece was going on, and a guy had to go and warn the other crew, and he ran to the place called Marathon. So 26 miles is a marathon. 4-minute mile, that was broken about 40, 50 years, something like that, ago. And it took all that time for people to get up to that 4-minute mile. But after the barrier was broken, the next year, 43 people broke it because it was a barrier. But once you break through a barrier, it's all over. We have been dealing with movement barriers. Nobody can defeat the Americans or the West. They're going to infiltrate you. They're going to do this. That's a barrier. Therefore, we will have to develop leaderless resistance. And the highest level of that, psychological guerrilla warfare, where we will psychologically scramble their brains, which we did, of course, getting our way, did all that stuff, and make fun of them. And we're going to use kindness, optimism, and humor, all that stuff. We've already done that. But we never told them that that's just a stage that we're going through. Star Trek means we will be going through until we die. Well, after that, we're going to still go through a couple more stages. But on Earth, dealing with the systems, we're going through barrier after barrier. If we just physically broke the physical barrier of getting out of the gravitational pull of the Earth, right? We don't have enough fuel right now to go through interplanetary flight. So what do we use? We use the gravity of other planets. Did y'all see the movie? What was the movie? Did y'all see The Martian? What's the name?
Yeah.
You know
I know the movie, but I didn't see it.
the white guy, Born Identity?
Jason Bourne.
Yeah, he played in that movie about
Kind of see that.
he got stuck on Mars. They're trying to get back to get him, it'll take 4 years or so. So the young Negro scientist said, look, they'll run out of fuel if you go to the sun. He says, here's what you do. He thought it out. You go around, speed up and go close to the Earth and go around. And the gravitational pull of the Earth will do you like a swing and swing you back. Which it will. So we've broken away from the gravitational pull of Earth. What this new frontier means, it's got to know leaderless resistance. All that, you can't defeat the white man without him turning in everybody's snitches. That's old stuff, buddy.
Yeah, you can't beat City Hall.
Yeah, we don't believe in that. We just ain't gonna go around tell it. We're going step by step. But this time, start tracking them. We ain't got a whole lot of fuel. We're gonna use the natural bodies right now. It's like if it was going close to this planet, it'll draw you. We're going not right on it because we're gonna have it gravitational pull, no fuel, to pull you close to it, so it's gonna snatch you this way. And the only thing you're gonna use just a little bit of fuel to shoot you that way. Right? And what's over there? Another big planet. You're gonna get within its gravitational pull, and it's gonna sling you, so you're gonna do your whole trip. And you ain't gonna use but 2-3 gallons of fuel. That's what we're doing right now. When we go to California, we're not going with no leaderless resistance. We're not going with all the stuff back in the past. Them Negroes jumping up and down. That was for that period. That was a necessary period. We had to show people, and everybody saw it, just like all of these right here. There's a few things that we will do from the past, because the goal was to always be able to teach the people. Remember, we're archivists, we're chroniclers, right? We're recorders, but we're teachers and trainers. So the stages for the future movements, and we're not Christopher Columbus's and Sir Francis Drake and all them explorers. No. If you want to mix space with remember what they used to call the old world and the new world when we was going to school? This is supposed to be the new world. But since they didn't clean up the old world, all they did was brought the same stuff. We're going into a new frontier, not only ideologically, but we're going into a new, on this earth thing, and we're not bringing all of that old stuff. We got to clean up. See, what happened with explorers, they brought all of their stuff, the bubonic plague, everything they had in Europe and everywhere else, they brought it over here. Only thing they took back here was gold, silver, and everything. Except syphilis, and that made the white man said they got syphilis over here. And I don't know, he's a big liar. I don't technically believe it, I mean, as he's been, all the stuff they have described in the Bible and other stuff diseases, sound like he had plenty of it. But you know how he lies a little bit. Here's where we are. This is a new frontier. We not, he didn't expect it. This is innovative. You have to innovate. Just by telling them this, we didn't want to. Because he thought he had everybody bamboozled. You can't work with nobody. You can't get a team together. That's what he was saying. Well, you don't know what we're going to do. One thing about it, can I read just a few of these little things right quick? There's nothing more, this is from Strategy 2000, September 2007. Good God Almighty. Exactly 10 years ago. 10 years we moved. I look at this as a modern article. Just right around the corner the other day. There's nothing more difficult to carry out, nor more doubtful of success, no more dangerous to handle than to initiate a new order of things. Despite this fact, Islamic workers must dream big and see opportunities where others see failures. It seems that for the person who does not daily dream a while, their star will grow dark, and that star by which all of our work and everyday existence is guided. Dreaming, visualization. We call it possibility thinking. We've called it in the past paradigm shift. Paradigm is like a map or a chart or a yardstick by which you measure everything. What we measured everything by before was leaderless resistance, was that you can't, he's got the COINTEL program, right? And we played right along with him. Yeah, you got this. And if you would listen to us talk sometime, you would almost feel that you can't do it, although we'd be telling you we can. Well, all of our writings prove that we've been thinking about it all the time, like right here at the top. Barriers, focus on barriers, possibilities. Barriers are made to be broken. Records are made to be broken. We got to break all the records. They broke Jesse Owens' records. They broke everybody else's records, right? Okay. They give us our heroes, and we love them. They are role models. But Malcolm set a record, and he was martyred in 65. But Malcolm X did not use Booker T. Washington from 1915 and W.E.B. Du Bois, because it was 50 years back. Right? Martin Luther King was martyred in 1968. We can use their struggle for inspiration, but not for strategy. Number one, they didn't break no whole lot of barriers. They never got to the point of even how to deal with the counterintelligence program. They didn't hardly know. Marcus Garvey, the biggest movement, 3 million black people in the 1920s. In 1940, they wrote an article in the newspaper, I don't know if y'all saw it, that Marcus Garvey died. He read the article and died. He was down with racism, but not the petty psychological stuff. You see what I mean? So, we was past Malcolm X by the day we opened the Masjid because of our own history and whatever. But we couldn't say that because nobody would like it. And, but we had to use improved strategies from that time because Malcolm never got a chance to establish a system of Masjid, none of that. Okay, so we always knew that we would have to go one step after another, one stage after another. This stuff of revolution and evolution. Paradigm is if you have the map of a city from 50 years ago, some of the stuff is in the same place. But it don't have nothing to do with it. They got buildings all over here now today. When I came here, you would drive somewhere now that map is vacant lot now. Now it's the highest building in town almost. All over. Look at the cranes all over everywhere. If you use the criteria when I came here of who was here, it was Negroes everywhere. You never saw a white person in this neighborhood all day. Never, never, never. Right? Now they'll run you over. And pretty soon, you know who's going to be a minority in Southeast? The Negro, yes. So between white folks and Latinos, they're coming for it. It's okay. All neighborhoods and changes like that. But there's been a paradigm shift in D.C. Paradigm shift. In the movement, there's a paradigm shift. The paradigm shift is not the system, but it's us. Remember, we engineered, let's talk about strategy, that's all let's talk about. You have to be a master strategist. So we got to engineer the great America into a position that he does what we want to do. Because we don't have all that power. Applied strategy. This is also from September. Strategy deals with the unpredictable, yet it tries to predict the precise way in which many forces could interact with each other, be distorted by nature and human or environmental circumstances, yet remain predictable to the trained strategist. The essence of strategy is to build a posture that is so strong in selective ways that you or your organization can achieve your goals despite unforeseeable ways external forces may interact with each other. Now, I'm going to go over this a minute because there are some of us here that can verify this stuff 100% on the bigger level as you want to get. Strategy deals with unpredictable, yet it tries to predict the precise way in which many forces could interact with each other, be distorted by nature. You can't control it. And human environmental circumstances, which these circumstances are so big, you can't control those. Yet remain predictable. So I just want everybody to go over our predictions, go far back as you want. In the highest level, this may sound bragging, people. They don't have no Henry Kissinger, they don't have nobody in the State Department, they don't have nobody that have had the experience and the time in and the record of Grand Slam home runs